Okay, so this is Friday morning yoga in the Anglican Church in Whaley Bridge. And we're going to start by some warm-up. So opposite elbow to opposite knee if you can. You're right, Annie, there. Do you want to move back a bit? Because then you can see me. Yeah. So as you do this, if you could be quite strong on the abdominal area so that you're holding the spine upright and the shoulders are back. So good, and then turning. So I don't know what it's like for people at home, but it's pretty chilly in here. Is it chilly? Certainly chilly. So the radiators aren't on, and we're going to have to do some movement to keep warm. That's okay. Okay, from side to side, and then swing. Graceful swinging, like come dancing. Is it come dancing? That one's strictly come dancing. Okay, good. And then lift one foot. Like the ballet dancer. And I really should have my socks off, but my feet are going, I'm cold. I'm too cold. Okay, lovely. And then pelvis forward, pelvis back. But watch the knees as you come forward. Maybe forward on the hinge joint and pelvis back. Forward and back. That's good. Okay. A few times. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the forward bend this morning. We were practicing it. Was it yesterday? Yeah, we were practicing it yesterday morning. And you can keep your socks on. I'm just being courageous here. So I'd like you to take a stance where your feet are underneath your hip joint. And we go into Tadasana, the mountain. So remember, the shoulders are back, but not too far back, okay? They're just comfortably back. And the abdominal area is slightly pulled in. And the hands hang quite heavy by the sides, the round of the head lifting up. And the chin slightly down, so the back of the neck is open. And feeling grounded deep into the earth, if possible. Deep, 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 deep into the earth. And close the eyes for a moment. So the chest area nice and open. And breathing into it. Okay, and then we're going to experiment with Uttanasana. Uttanasana is the traditional forward bend. Ut means intense and tan means stretch. And in yoga it's often called the forward bend, that's it. So the intense stretch forward bend, Uttanasana. So if we could breathe in, take the hands off. So imagine you're trying to reach, because we're in this lovely beamed church with a lovely ceiling, we're trying to reach one of those beams. So really lifting the shoulders and lifting the torso out of the pelvis. Yay, lovely. Okay, as best you can. And then Uttanasana is not about hinging from the waist, it's about hinging from the hips. So just think about that for a moment. Push the tailbone back as we keep that extension. So imagine what we're holding on to is just moving out of our reach, out of our reach, out of our reach. And we're hinging from the hips. Lovely. Okay. Bend the knees softly, well, quite generously actually, at this stage. And then breathing out, coming down, but with a long front abdominal area. And you don't have to come down to touch the floor. You can touch feet, shins, even the knees, okay? And then dropping the head, lowering down, bent knees, nice and soft, tailbone going up to the heavens. And then when you're in the pose, just think about your tailbone beginning the spine, and we're going to open out spinal disc to vertebra, disc to vertebra, disc to vertebra, all the way through to the 7 vertebra in the neck. And if you like, you can hold on to your elbows, use the weight of the arms to elongate the stretch. The contraindications for this pose are if you have glaucoma or a detached retina. Sometimes if you're having really bad migraines, this pose is best done with supervision from your teacher and advice from your doctor. Also, if you have lower back pain that's very serious, that you're bulging at the lower back, this is actually probably going to make the lower back bulge some more. So in yoga, we'd strengthen around the lower back first before we do a forward bend. And that might take some months, so we'd be careful. So if you're down and you're struggling a bit, you can bend the knees a little bit more. If you're feeling, oh, this is easy, you might like to hang on to your big toes, because another forward bend is holding the big toe and then straightening out the spine and looking up. Lovely. So you look up, breathe in, look up, breathe out, go down. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out, come down. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out, go down. So keep that going for a moment. It's nice and rhythmic. Don't overstrain the back, especially bend the knees generously if you need to. Okay, and then on the last out breath, coming down, keep breathing. I can just explain to you the various hand positions. You can hold on behind the ankles. You can flatten the hands along the floor facing forward or back. And you can also tuck your hands, palms upwards underneath your feet in this forward bend. And you can also hold on behind the thighs. Or the last one we're going to do is clasp the hands behind the pelvis and then lift that hand. Okay? It's quite a strong pose. The 2-angle pose, there's a triangle beneath, between the feet, to the legs. There's a triangle in the hands. Okay, releasing the hands, rubbing down the backs of the legs. So there's a myth that the forward bend is just about hamstrings. It's not about the whole of the spine, abdominal area, kidneys. There's so much going on in the forward bend, and it's also good for lifting mood, creating a more positive feeling throughout the body. So when you come up, could you stop at the squat? So imagine you're going to sit on something, and you have your elbows on your knees, if you can. Okay, this is to show that we don't need to use the back to lift the back up. We're actually going to use the thighs. So push with the thighs to come up. Okay, okay. We need to shake the legs out. So that was a forward bend, and usually when we do a forward bend, we do a backward bend as well. So we're going to do the simple back arch going backwards. Strange, I feel very formal when I'm being recorded. It's kind of chill. We're going to do a back bend. So hands in here. Okay, so you've got the hands, maybe the middle fingers going in where the dimples are. And then maybe separate the feet a bit with the toes pointing slightly out or pointing forward, depending on where your knees are bending. My knees are bending forward slightly, so I'm going to put my toes forward. Then relax the shoulders. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out, pause. Breathe in, go back lower. Pushing the pelvis forward, but supporting it if you can with the hand. And this is the instinctive pose when you've been driving a long car journey or sitting in the cinema and you get up and you go, oh, oh. That's the simple back bend. And just allowing it to happen. Watch the neck if you can. Help the neck be supported, maybe don't take it back so far. So Annie, I think this might really help. Pushing the pelvis forward. Okay, and then straightening up. Okay, bending forward a little bit and making fists with the hands and rocking into that whole area. Fine, crossways. So just massaging, getting all blood supplying there. Gently, gently, gently making that feel a little bit better. Yeah, and then coming round the front a bit. Doing front legs and sides, and then out to the sides, like so. So just beginning to get that hip lubricated enough. Okay, good. Stand, pause, mountain for a moment, adasana. Steady, immovable, unshakable. So let's do some stretches. Some of these stretches are really good for runners. So I'm creating at the moment a sequence which is stretches for runners. So I think two of you might be interested in that at least. And one of them that's really helpful for runners, of course, is this kind of action. We're going into the long stretch. So what I'd like to do, and it is challenging, I admit this, we're going to go into that long, what we call the starter position, and then move into the pigeon. So start at the pigeon, it's challenging, but it's really good for runners. So let's move the right leg forward. Okay. Encourage it further along the mat. So what we're aiming for is a right angle behind this front knee. So we're going forward as much as we can. And the back foot is coming in at about 10:30 on the clock, 12 o'clock is forward. Okay. So you begin to feel it, I think, here, maybe, and here, maybe. Is that all right? You think? All right. And then breathe in, bring the hands up. Lovely, and drop the shoulders. Now, place the hands on the knee for a moment. Turn the back heel and go down deeper till you're almost knee to floor. Can you feel that stretch in the hip joints? Push the heel away from you. Drop the shoulders. A difficult pose. We don't teach it very often. I don't teach it very often. Pushing the heel away from you. Can you feel it? Yes. I have to wait till everybody says yes. And then straightening up, correct the foot at the back, so it's going out again. Walk a little bit in for a rest. And then we're going out again. So foot forward, then the knee. Out. Okay. So my foot here is definitely at 10:30. It's pointing to 10:30. At 12 o'clock is the front. And then arms up. And drop lower. Lovely, drop the shoulders. Lovely. Out. So in a warrior, and then same hand over same foot. Look along the length of the hand and drop the shoulders. Don't worry too much if you're not going down a lot. Lovely. Looking along, invincible, strong, not to be messed with. And hopefully the torso is straight up, rather than leaning forward in any way. And then breathing out, coming down. over that front foot. So you might need to turn the back foot a moment and place the knee on the floor. So we end up in this starter position. And then push this front knee forward and you'll find it stretches nicely here. Okay. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out, sink down a little, drop the head. Breathe in, look up. And breathe out, drop down a little. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out, drop down a little. Pause there, breathing. You can, doesn't hurt, flatten the front foot, the back foot, sorry, the back foot. And of course, you can always use blocks and you can use a knee pad for your back knee. So is that quite a strong stretch? Yes, no? Yes, okay. Then lift the front foot up and we walk back and we stretch by bringing the toes this way towards us, okay? So drop the chin. Breathe in, look up. Breathe out and down. Breathe in, look up. So I don't know whether you can notice, but I'm actually, when I breathe out, my hands are going almost palms to floor. And when I breathe in, I go up onto my feet. Okay, last one, breathe in. And then take your right foot over, walk it over. Lovely. Bring the hands more forward. Lovely. And bring that knee coming down towards the ground. This is a difficult pose to do. And what I'm doing is, I had it too far across. Move that leg, you've got some movement in it. Move it across to where it feels comfortable. See if maybe the knee coming straight out from the hip joint is comfortable. And then lowering down onto the back foot. Let me just check your. So probably, knee further. You've got your knee here. Bring it. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, and then lowering down. So this is the pigeon pose. Not particularly easy. You'll feel it probably through your gluteus back here. And then eventually lowering down, crossing the hands, one hand on top of the other, forehead to floor, and just breathe into it, relaxing the shoulders. Breathe, 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 breathe. So it captures gluteus muscles, buttock muscles that normally we don't stretch enough and are not probably strong enough. And activates them. So you might feel this a little tomorrow or the day after. And this is the easy pigeon. So now we're going up. Should we go up into difficult pigeon? Well, why not? Just give it a go. Coming up, pushing the head up, but leave everything else there. Take the hands back and back and back until the torso is perpendicular to the floor. So Annie, that will get you beautifully just where we've got the forward bend problem. It's actually coming up. Okay. So almost, I can feel that the groin here is almost on my heel, this cross heel. So Annie, if you can you see? I'm almost on my heel here. Yeah. Comfortably. And then, oops, I've come out of pose, moving back into pigeon. You could even relax the hands. Okay, and release. And you release by swinging over and resting in the Cleopatra pose. Lovely. So I don't know how you were doing watching it on YouTube, But one of the problems that happens with the pigeon is it's the positioning really of this foot. So first of all, some people start off with it way over there, or they start off with it way over here. Actually, probably the best thing to think of is heel to groin, because that gives the best positioning, and then you can maneuver some more. Some people like it a little bit tucked more in, but we're going to try it anyway on the other side. So I would suggest from your lovely Cleopatra pose, here reclining, just go up into hand resting on ear, legs straight, and since we're down, lift and down. Okay. You might have to remind me we've done this bit when I do the other side, because I might forget. All right, so we're all doing one particular leg. Remember which leg it is. When we do it again, do the other leg, okay? And then when you're at the top, point the feet forward, toes forward, and just do little bounces. So the toes are pointing definitely forward, not up. Definitely forward at the opposite wall, Karen, if you can. That's it. So flex the toes towards you. Well, that's it. So, is that difficult? Yeah.
For me,
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah. And then releasing down.
It won't be on the other side.
It is on that side. So I would suggest just rubbing along the outside of the thigh. Lovely. Okay, and then push with your hands and come up. Pause halfway in the mermaid, if you can. Yes. The mermaid that I saw in Copenhagen is so small. Anybody else seen it? You think it's going to be human size or bigger, and it's actually really quite tiny. Yeah,
It looks bigger on TV.
it looks bigger on TV and it looks bigger on the photos, and it's very small. It's very beautiful, but it's you could miss it if you didn't know it was there, kind of thing. Almost. Okay, and then coming up to standing. Let's go back into Tadasana, and I'm going to do that whole sequence on the so resting, just watching the pronation of the ankle joint. If your ankle collapses in, which my right ankle tends to do, just pulling it out a little. If it goes outward, bring it in a little. Okay. So getting a sense of even weight distribution through the feet, tucking the tailbone in, crown of the head lifting, breathing. So this pose is for steadiness, equilibrium, poise, groundedness, stability. Okay, and we'll now step with our left foot forward, and the back foot is at about 1:30 if 12 o'clock is straight ahead. So remember, we are rather gingerly moving that front foot forward along the mat, and just check that when the knee bends, it goes over the second toe. Okay, until we get fairly comfortable position. Okay, and then bring the arms up and turn that back foot round. Lovely, so that it's now facing, sort of facing 12 o'clock too, and down we go and push the heel back. So hopefully you feel it on that thigh. Yeah. Strong. Keep breathing into it, shoulders back, shoulder blades together, coming together, going down. If the hands are tiring, place them on the knee. Okay, lovely, and then coming up back into pointing to about 1:30, I'm sorry this is strong, but it's a really good one, and it's good we put it on recording. It's a really good one if you're really wanting to run or go hiking, you really want the legs to open up and everything to work properly. So the next bit is to bend the knee again, trying to get a right angle. So this pose is easier the wider apart your feet are. It feels much more difficult if the feet are too close together. And then breathing in, going up. We're now in a kind of mountain pose. Let me see. Yeah. And then the hands swing, same hand over same foot. Drop the shoulders. And a common mistake in Virabhadrasana, the warrior pose, is leaning forward. So try to ensure that your tailbone is underneath the crown of your head. And then another common mistake is the back hand is too low. And it feels that it's right, and then you look at it and it's dropped. Okay, that's lovely. So look along the front arm and stretch as though you were trying to reach the opposite wall. And breathe. Invincible, strong, warrior. Looking into infinity. And then bring the hands round. Again, deepen that front knee. I think I'm doing really strong poses today because they're warming. And it will stop us feeling cold in this cold room. And then straight up and looking again into infinity. Wonderful. This is not easy peasy stuff. This is quite challenging. Okay, and then breathe out, bringing the hands down. Okay, turn the back foot. So it's facing 12 o'clock. And look up. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Look up. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. I've already had enough. Okay, breathe in, stretch up. Really separate this front knee away from that back heel. Low on the groin, low on the groin. Okay. Then back knee down to the floor and rest the top of the back foot on the floor. Bend the front knee forward and look up. That's a bit of a relief, isn't it? Yeah, a bit of a relief. Oh, we rest here for a moment. And you can even rest the hands a bit too if they're finding it hard. But we hopefully have got a nice groin stretch going. Okay. And then, guess what? The pigeon. So let's walk the foot to the middle. Okay. And knee out to the side. Then let's try it this way. Let's bring the foot towards ourselves a bit. Okay. Until we're underneath the groin. If that helps. Not easy. I think the pigeon is it's difficult to look at, and then you have to work it out for yourself where it feels comfortable. Looks complicated looking at it. So first of all, we're going down. So the hands, you go up down onto your forearms, cross the arms, the opposite way to last time, if you can remember how you did it last time. You probably had your dominant hand on top last time, and you could put your less dominant hand on top this time. And then comfortably lowering down as far as you can go, breathing into it. So I call this the not so well pigeon. Possibly dying pigeon, a bit like the dying swan. Okay, just relaxing deeply, deeply into it. If you can push the elbows further away and you go down lower so the chest is on the floor, that's kind of fun. And push that back foot, push the toes away from you. Okay. If you experience a lot of pain through the knee joints, it's your, well, this side hopefully is the left knee that's bent. Yeah, take the mind's awareness if you can into that left knee
And just feeling around in there. What does it feel like? Am I comfortable? Have I got this joint bent properly, bent on the hinge? Am I compromising it? Okay, and then pushing back, we're going to go into the full pigeon. Shoulders back, looking up. Trying to get the torso coming up straight. Okay, and then you can look, you've got two choices depending on your pigeon. Look forward, interested, curious pigeon, or you can look up, pigeon's thinking, wonder what's up there. Pigeon, shoulder blades coming together and dropping down towards the waist, shoulders dropping. And of course, you could have a block under each hand, which might help. Okay, and then slightly coming forward, bring that back knee round, coming out of the pose into mermaid. Okay, pause on the mermaid. You can rub any parts of the thigh that hurt and stretch, and then releasing out into the adaptation pose. Pause and rest. And we do nothing for a moment, which is nice. So absolutely do nothing. Okay, and then bring your top hand onto the floor in front of you to just balance you like so. And then raise your top leg up, pointing away from you. So hopefully you're doing the other side this time at the end of this sequence. So we're simply lifting, and we're trying to do it very much on that straight line above the lower leg. So we're not taking it forward, we're not taking it back. And the foot itself, the toes are pointing towards us, towards the face. So the foot is it flexed rather than pointing? Lovely. And then of course we go up to the top and we do the little bouncing movements. Little tiny movements up at the top. Not my favourite. It starts to feel uncomfortable. And well, it feels like it's working us very hard from very early on. But I suppose the good news is that is actually working a part of our soft tissue, tendons, ligaments, muscles that we are not using very often. And they need to be strengthened. And it gets quite ow. Okay, breathe out, come down, pause, nothing to do for a moment. Be kind of nice to go, let's go into fetal position. So bend the knees, bring them up to the waist. Take the hands comfortably under the head and pause. And breathe. Well done for doing all that. That was hard work. That was definitely challenging. So letting go for a moment, breathing, quiet, calm, nothing to do. Ooh. Maybe for a moment we just be aware of what we can be grateful for. We're dry. We're in a very, very nice, very old church. Beautiful space. Glass windows, leaded windows, and sunny outside, the sun is streaming in. We're fortunate to have this space, this time for ourselves, to nourish, replenish, stretch, heal, rejuvenate. And maybe encouraging this feeling of gratitude, being aware of what we can be grateful for. Okay. And then if you could bring the hands out with push or come up. And depending on, I don't know, maybe everybody else has sensibly got their socks on, but I'm looking longingly at my socks. I just have to give in one in a minute. Coming up to the table. So bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. And if you have something like a blanket or knee pads or support for your knees, I would definitely use them. Just to be kind to your knees, really. Poor knees, they do loads of work. And the kinder we can be to them, the better. Okay. We kind of need support. I can roll this mat up, and you can use your blanket. Are you all right, Jen? I didn't know whether that was my phone thing. I think it might be mine. Hold on. I'm just going to check. It's right next to the computer as well. I'll turn it off. Lovely. Should stop pinging now. Be fine. Oh, table. So could you have a look around everybody else in the class? Because the table is really hard to work out from above. And it's meant to be right angle, okay? So maybe, Karen, you could just check me. Am I okay? Yeah. Is that right? And then when, yeah, okay. And, you know, you can tell somebody across the room, knees back a little, knees forward. Maybe knees slightly forward, Jan. Yeah, there, that's good. So hopefully our arms and our thighs are perpendicular, coming straight up. The face is parallel to the floor. And then take your awareness, if you can, into your spine. Just seeing the spine is actually flexing all the time, even with the breath. It's very subtle movement. Just see if you can ripple through the spine, but without hardly making a movement. It's like you're just breathing, rippling up and down the spine. All right. Lovely. And then think of the tailbone. And let's take the tailbone, let's push it up towards the heavens. Okay. And then let's breathe in, take the hand, face up towards the ceiling, opening the front chest. And let's just stay there for a moment. So as we stay in that pose, little fine details are the tops of the feet are nicely flat against the floor. They're parallel to each other, as are the lower legs and hopefully the thighs. The abdominal area, the front abdominal muscles are not collapsing down, slightly pulling in to support the spine. The shoulders, I don't know whether you're like me, but my shoulders are always trying to come up to my ears. So shoulders down, back towards the waist, shoulder blades together. Front throat area, where your voice box and your thyroid and parathyroid are, we're opening and stretching and looking up with the eyes. Out of your sort of peripheral vision to the sides, you can possibly just see round halfway, but upwards, I want you to imagine you're looking straight up. Maybe the head won't go that far, but the eyes can stretch straight up. Lovely. And then on the next out breath, let's reverse. So watch the spine, tailbone, all the way through. Vertebra, lower vertebra, middle vertebra, top vertebra, neck, we're going into the bridge. So we push the spine up the other way, pull in the belly button. So you're pulling in from the front abdominal to support this strong bridge. Tuck the chin in as much as possible. Open out the shoulder blades this time. Nice and open. And remember to keep breathing. Staying the bows, breathing. If the wrists are objecting, you can always go on to fists, side on, give them a bit of a relief. Or you can roll up your mat a bit. One of the tricks for downward facing dogs, all sorts of poses where the wrists are taking a lot of strain. so that the wrists are on your mat and the fingers are on the floor. Just releasing the strain on that wrist joint. Okay, so high a bridge as possible. High bridge. Tuck the tailbone right under, chin right down. And then let's breathe in and reverse, going back into that lovely hammock shape. And then breathe out back into bridge. And breathe in, hammock shape. And breathe out, bridge. So we just keep going with the rhythmic breathing. And you know, it wouldn't be so difficult, would it, to do this every day? You could even do it first thing when you get out of bed. Just stretching the spine, and really truly, if we did this every single day, just stretching the spine, cat pose, just think how healthy those discs would be in the spine. They would be happy little bunnies. Okay, and then eventually resting in back to neutral. Crown of the head, tailbone, all on the spine, more or less. Parallel to the floor. And then at the back, join the toes, big toes together. You might want to take the knees out a little, depends on you. And sit back onto the heels and push the hands forward. Looking the fingertips forward. And then comfortably resting the shoulders wide apart. Breathing in this long, it's got lots of names. I mean, obviously it's a kneeling forward bend, but some people refer to it as a rabbit, because I think the arms are like rabbit's ears. Some people refer to it as the swan. Probably looks a bit like a guy in the swan to me. Anyway, or just the kneeling forward bend. And it can be quite a long stretch because you can walk your fingertips along the floor, and the rationale behind that is to open the disc so they get maximum. And when we've been pressing them and then we open them up, they can imbibe what they need to rejuvenate cell by cell. And if your wrists were hurting from the work that you're doing, if they were under strain, it's also a good opportunity to just move the hands around. So the heel of the hand, the wrist, you can give them a little bit more lubrication. By convincing the brain, look, we're using it, please send more lubricating fluid into these joints and strengthen them a little. And then try turning the palms over so they're upwards, turning the shoulder joint outwards, breathing into that. Okay, and then have a little thing. I don't know where you are on your mat, but whatever happens, we're about to go onto the top of the head kneeling. So we kneel and we push forward onto the top of the head, but I do need the head to be padded. So I think I'm going to be all right because I can just roll my mat back a bit more. And then you go up like so onto the top of the head. Technically, the thighs are coming up perpendicular, straight up from the floor. The hands are clasped behind the head. You lift up and you take the hands over. So it's a semi-inverted pose. And it can only be done with maximum amount of softened cushioning underneath the crown of the head. Otherwise, it's being a little bit cruel to the top of your head. And this is a very hard floor. So breathing into this. Where I was because I can't do that with my. Oh no, yeah, fine. Adapt if you find that difficult. I don't think it should do the neck any good today. Well said. Okay, and then releasing the hands down towards the sides of the body. Okay, coming up, kneeling. And just pausing for a moment. Now, if kneeling is really uncomfortable, one of the tricks to make it easier is to create a little bit higher behind you, so you can use blocks and you can use your cushions to actually just give yourself a little lift behind you. But I don't know why. When I was first taught yoga, I was taught it. I was taught it I was 9 years old, and I was taught standard. It was back in the 60s, actually. Very standard yoga poses. They were just coming into the West, sort of more popularly, something like that. And so it was, you know, triangle pose, warrior pose, headstand, shoulder stands. You just did them. And then my next yoga teacher taught me again the standard poses, how you do them, where they're working. Then my third teacher, we're getting into the 80s now in India, taught me all the poses with their medical, emotional and psychological benefits. And then my next teacher, who was in Oxford, she very much began to explain the softness and the gentleness, to listen to yourself. And I worked with her for about 8 years, I think. And then, of course, in my own training, as I went forward and began to learn from people all around the world, this soft gentleness. So I wish they'd taught me from the beginning. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh, we've gone off video. I wish they'd taught me from the beginning that the most important thing is to always think, what does my body need? Not what the teacher needs, not what the person next to me needs. What does my body need, and how can I make this gentler and easier on myself? I wonder when we lost the video. Let's see. No idea. Well, I hope we didn't lose the whole lot. I hope it saved itself. Not a lot I can do about that. Everything's gone. Connected, yes. Yes. Everything fine. Just says not connected. I did my best, didn't I, guys? Should we leave it there?